to the tune of at least $12 billion.
$12 billion.
He walked into City Hall and did something most politicians won't do. He told the truth. He stood at that podium and dropped a number that should terrify every New Yorker. $12 billion. That's the budget hole Eric Adams left behind. Not a miscalculation, not an honest mistake, a deliberately hidden crisis. Former Mayor Eric Adams handed the next administration a poison chalice, Mamdani said. And he didn't stop there. He laid out exactly how Adams created fake fiscal stability by under-budgeting the services New Yorkers depend on. The bill? It comes due now. Eric Adams' response came fast and angry. Only someone who can't read a balance sheet would call that a crisis. Andrew Cuomo's spokesperson went even lower, mocking Mamdani's jacket, calling him a kid playing dress-up. So here's the question. When a mayor exposes a financial scandal, why does the response attack his wardrobe instead of addressing the numbers? New Yorkers watching this should ask themselves what that tells us about who's actually telling the truth. Let's talk about those numbers, because Adams and Cuomo really don't want you looking at them too closely. According to the city comptroller, an independent watchdog, not Mamdani's office, New York City's facing a $12.6 billion budget shortfall over the next 2 years. That's $2.2 billion this fiscal year and $10.4 billion the year after. And here's what makes this particularly damning. Both the city comptroller and the state comptroller have verified that Adams' administration systematically under-budgeted critical services. What does systematically under-budgeted actually mean? It means Adams knew these services cost more than he was allocating. He knew rental assistance for 50,000 families needed more funding. He knew shelter services during a housing crisis were underfunded. He knew special education for disabled kids wasn't getting what it needed. But here's the thing. If he'd budgeted honestly, his administration would have looked fiscally irresponsible. So instead, he kicked the can down the road. He made the numbers look good on paper, while the real costs kept piling up in the background. Knowing his time in office was likely coming to an end, Mayor Adams chose political self-preservation over fiscal responsibility, Mamdani said. This is not just bad governance, it's negligence. Now you might be wondering, couldn't this just be normal budget disagreements? Don't all mayors inherit fiscal challenges? Sure, but here's where it gets interesting. The city comptroller, again an independent official, issued reports before Mamdani took office, warning about these exact problems.
This is the Adams budget crisis.
This isn't Mamdani making accusations. This is Mamdani finally saying out loud what the watchdogs have been documenting for months. And Mamdani didn't just blame Adams. He went after Andrew Cuomo too, the guy he beat in last year's election. Former Governor Andrew Cuomo extracted our city's resources, using our revenue to address state-level holes while withholding from the city what it was owed. The math here is pretty straightforward. NYC generates 54.5% of all state revenue. The city gets back 40.5%. That's a $21.2 billion imbalance over time. Now ask yourself this. If you contributed more than half of your household income, but only got back 40% for your needs, would you call that fair? New Yorkers have been subsidizing the rest of the state for years, and Cuomo was governor when that imbalance got worse. So when Adams and Cuomo attack Mamdani for exposing this, what they're really saying is, don't look at the numbers, just trust us. But here's the problem. Adams was federally indicted on corruption charges 4 months ago. Cuomo resigned in disgrace over sexual harassment. Why should New Yorkers trust them now when their credibility's already shot? That's not a rhetorical question. That's something every New Yorker needs to answer for themselves. Facts have a way of getting in the way when slogans replace math. Notice what he did? He didn't address the under-budgeting. He didn't explain why comptrollers are confirming Mamdani's numbers. Classic deflection. Attack the messenger, not the message. Adams claimed he left $8 billion in reserves. Okay, If you had $8 billion in savings, but $12 billion in hidden debts, would you call yourself financially responsible? But if Adams was defensive, Cuomo's team went for the jugular. Rich Azzopardi delivered the pettiest insult of the year. Mamdani needs to learn being an executive is more than cosplaying in a designer windbreaker. Let that sink in. Mamdani exposes a $12 billion crisis backed by independent watchdogs, and Cuomo's response is to mock his jacket? When you can't attack the substance, you attack the style. That's desperation. So what happens next? Mamdani's solution is simple. Make the wealthy pay their fair share. 2% tax on the top 1%. 11.5% corporate rate to match New Jersey. But here's the problem. Governor Hochul already shut it down. We are not raising taxes in New York State. So Mamdani's stuck. He exposed the crisis, proposed the solution, but Albany won't let him implement it. Which raises the obvious question. If Albany won't tax the wealthy, who pays for this $12 billion hole? Working New Yorkers? Middle-class families? The same people squeezed by rising rents and service cuts? Here's what makes this revealing. Mamdani came in with 0 scandals. Adams was indicted. Cuomo resigned in disgrace. So who do you believe? The mayor exposing the crisis? Or the politicians attacking his jacket? This is the fight for your city. And it's just getting started. Look, if you're tired of watching politicians play games with your city, you're in the right place. We're covering every move, every fight, every lie they think we won't catch. Hit that subscribe button because New York deserves the truth, not the spin. And those videos on screen? They explain so much about what you just watched. Worth your time. See you on the next one.